Hello, Wanderers. We are Bill and Melissa, and welcome to our Wandering Highlanders journey.
In this episode, we will cover the impetus for our trip, the journey that we took to get our passports, and why we chose the Villa Vie for our cruise.
Why are we on this grand adventure? Why are you following along with us as Wandering Highlanders? And why are we here in this place that we are?
So, Bill and I have been married for 30 years. We celebrated our 30th anniversary March 25th. I turned 50 and he turned 50 back in December before Christmas. And the beginning of 2025, started this saga of the immense change in the government. And with Bill working for a total of 27 years, combined government and military service, at least from my perspective, it was pretty clear that he was going to be retired out. It took Bill a little bit longer to, I think, get used to the idea that he was no longer going to be a government employee. And, when you're working, I think you said all of 2 years.
All but 2 years of my adult life has had a government ID, as in either a .mil or a .gov address. I had about 2 years where I worked in telecommunications after I got off of submarines. But then right after that, after 9/11, I joined the Army National Guard. And so from 2003 until now, I've either been Army National Guard, Navy Reserve, or then I started my federal career with Department of the Interior in 2005. So I have basically worked for Uncle Sam for almost my entire adult life. And no politics. We're not going to go into that. But the simple fact is that we could read the tea leaves and we could see where this was going. And I could see that it would be highly likely that my job might not survive the year. And what I really knew is that I needed a defrag. I have gone on deployment after deployment, mobilization, almost back-to-back mobilizations back in the day. And then being at this agency for 20 years this October, I realized that I just needed a defrag. Also, we live in the Midwest. I'm going to tell you, as a Coloradan, native-born Coloradan, Midwest winter is not really my bag, and I finally understand why people snowbird.
Yeah.
As a result, around the March timeframe, I just started saying, you know what, honey? I need to go on a cruise.
Yeah. Well, even before then, he'd mentioned off the cuff that he wanted to see what it was like to be above the water and not below the water. And, especially in February when you're just ready for blue skies. And we were just going through so much change in our in upheaval in our personal life and in his professional life. The desire to just kind of get away and to travel, which had been.
A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Captain speaking. With this, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a wonderful afternoon on board repeat to Odyssey. And remember, quick mile, quick life. But when you fly. Thank you.
All right, we're back. We made the mistake of filming right before the 12 o'clock Captain Val update, but always fun to hear his updates and his quotes of the day. So I believe we were back to knowing that we're going to do something. We're going to do some type of cruise, some type of thing. I'm coming to grips with the fact that my job is I'm going to get retired out. But then there was another major change that we've been moving towards for years, which was empty nesting. We have a son who's 22 years old. He works in advanced manufacturing and he lives with us. Our eldest is out of the house, has been for 5 years. And then our youngest is a missionary here in Hawaii. But our son has lived with us. And once he started getting his good job, and we knew that we weren't always going to stay in that house. We've got too much wanderlust for that.
Every day that we spent in that house past 4 years, which was 2022, was a new record for us, being in one location.
Neither of us, because of our backgrounds, had ever lived under one roof for greater than 4 years in the history of ever for us.
And really, that was only 2 locations that we lived. Anyway, it was a big mix of emotions for me. trying to wrap my head around the fact that my husband would no longer be working for the government, that we would be moving out of this house that I had been very comfortable in for a long time, and that things are changing again. We didn't know where we were going to move to afterwards. And then, of course, I work for my church, and I had to prepare for
a 5-week road trip cruise. So while we were preparing for this journey, you got to keep this in mind. I just got retired out after 20 years at one agency, 3 jobs there, but
huge
20
catharsis for you. Yeah.
Okay. Then we've known for well over 6 months that the time was coming when one of the two of us was going to have to get out of the house, our son or us.
Before we even really had an idea of what was to come, we made the decision May 31st would be our
Final day in that
final
house.
day in that house. And so as Bill is closing up shop for the government and we are making plans to move out of the house, we're fixing up the basement bedroom, which needed some work. And just in general, sort of beginning plans of moving, things started to snowball in the middle of, I think at the end of March. We started to talk about knowing that we would be retiring from the government. What kind of a celebration did we want to have? And Bill kept going back to going on a cruise. So we explored the options that we had. And yes, I am frugal. I will admit it. I like saving money.
So we looked, as a veteran, there's a wonderful program called GovX. And I had mathed all this out. I planned it all out, and I gave her 2 different options. And one was a way that we could get a rental place down in the Orlando area, which we've been to before. It was a resort with a kitchen and a pool and all of those things. And then we were going to do like a 2 to 5 day, maybe 7-day cruise on what's called the Margaritaville at Sea. They do great discounts for veterans. If you're a veteran, sign up for GovX. Get that stuff and check out the options. And we'll probably still do it in time. So as a way of investing into this new future state, we invested in passports, not knowing where we're going to go, what we're going to do. But we just said, you know what? We know we're going to go somewhere internationally. So I bit the bullet and committed the money to get our passports. And this beautiful lady learned a lot of great lessons on that.
As anything, as I've done over the years, you do your research and you read everything thoroughly. They provide you the paperwork to fill out, but there's other parts that go into it. So take your time. Don't rush while you're filling out your paperwork. Make sure that you read the instructions thoroughly. Make sure that you gather the paperwork that they're asking for and just kind of have it in the way that they want you to have it, like going to the DMV or
college applications, admissions, whatever.
You're probably going to need a lot of the similar paperwork. You read through it. You sign what you need to sign. We made our appointment.
Very important.
We made sure we knew where we were going. And when we showed up, we handed her everything and she was impressed.
Well, you basically had it all paper clipped together, organized in the order that showed. She's like, here's everything you need.
Yeah.
And the lady starts going through with their highlighter and whatnot. And she was like, wow, I wish everybody walked in here as prepared as you are. So we made,
thank you. We made the decision to get our passport IDs and our passport books. I knew that they offered a passport ID and I knew that they offered a passport book. And you had to pay for each one separately and each one is shipped separately. We had to go through that with my youngest daughter when she was getting hers. So I knew that they were going to take our birth certificate and they would be shipping the ID and the passport book separately. We paid our money, we filled out our paperwork, and we walked out with our receipts.
We did pay for expedited.
Absolutely. We weren't sure when we were leaving, so we wanted to just be prepared.
Now, during the process of this, I ended up committing us to the Villa Vie. And there was a very specific time frame window that would give us time to close up our sticks and bricks house and to get on board the ship. And we knew that we had to get on board in La Paz because I wanted to actually experience the Pacific from the surface for the first time ever. And because I've been across a half dozen times or more underwater, but I've never experienced a sunrise, a sunset, the Milky Way from the middle of the ocean. I was always underwater working on the tea kettle. So I needed and I wanted the long cruise across the Pacific. And I think both of us needed it for a decompression time, a defrag time.
I didn't stress because I knew we'd get our passport books in time, but Bill kept.
Homebody was stressing.
That's because my focus was somewhere else.
Yeah.
I was trying to prepare my work for me to be gone.
I was semi-retired, and so I'm just looking at the emails from the post office going, I hope to God, and there's sort of this black hole in Indianapolis. And so we received our cards, no issues, no worries, but that's not good enough to get you on the airplane from the States to Mexico. And so we're waiting on the books. Well, I get the notification that they've left St. Louis, and I'm like, and then they don't show up on the date that we're expecting. And I'm like, oh dear God, is it lost in the black hole of Indianapolis's post office?
You're kind of obsessing over it. And I just thought,
refresh.
It's going to be fine. We're going to be all right.
So they showed up, but I think they showed up with only about 2 weeks to spare. If I have a lesson learned for all of you, it's if you're remotely considering international travel, bite the bullet, get the passports well in advance, and then book your trip. But hey, and I also want to talk about the 7 P's of planning because it really is going to kind of come into how we're doing that. And that is the 7 P's is proper prior planning prevents
piss poor performance.
There you go. And that's going to segue us really into why are we here on the Villa Vie, or why did I start looking into lifetime cruising?
Last year, we bought a house, a fixer-upper house that consumed all of our extra time, our energy, and our money. It, as every rehabber knows, as every investor knows, your house is going to cost you twice as much and take twice as long. Well, this one cost 3 times as much and took 3 times as long. But it was our first, and we learned a lot. But we finished that house in November and put it on the market immediately, where it sat until March, where I was trying to sell it for sell by owner over the holidays, and then all the changes that happened, there was just nobody was buying houses. They're not buying houses. There's just too much uncertainty. So here we are. We're sitting with this extra mortgage. We're seeing so much change in our life at this time. Bill started obsessing over this idea about cruising.
Back-to-back lifetime cruising. And then I found somebody on Instagram who was doing a round-the-world cruise in a year. So as I'm doom scrolling, as you do, I would see these posts about her traveling the world. And then I also saw another article somewhere from social media that led me to the Villa Vie Odyssey and this concept of residential cruising.
Your YouTube feed became populated with YouTubers, talking about this idea of going from ship to ship to ship for their retirement years. You've probably read the articles saying that it's cheaper to cruise. You get all of your needs taken care of than it is to, buy a house. And if you start to compare the two side by side, it gets pretty comparable. And I think the stress of working on this house and the idea of getting away was appealing. Mm-hmm. But you started to take it beyond just an idea.
I might have done a little TISM hyper-focus type of thing. And I really did hyper-focus on this concept and found a lot of the YouTubers that are here on the Villa Vie. I found it when they were in Belfast, when they were going through the challenges and the dramas and the wondering of, would this ship actually go to sea?
So he ordered a map of the world that was absolutely enormous and took over the entire back wall of our living room. bought push pins. He was mapping their entire itinerary, and then he would change the ship based on the port. And he printed out a picture of the ship, a glossy
8x10.
8x10, and hung it on the wall.
I put the picture of the ship on the wall
right next to our family pictures
because this became my dream of my end state, my end goal. Now, this is not her dream, okay? But my beautiful wife has allowed me to delve into this concept, and we're doing right now what they call a try before you buy.
So the journey that the Villa Vie went through to get ready for their cruise, the challenges that they faced in the Belfast port, the naysayers that were talking about it not being a success,
hoping for failure.
The Villa Vie's drama became our drama because that drama was easier to
deal with
that
than the drama of this
of our
fix and flip from hell.
Yeah.
And
so
it also, for me, it showed me, okay, like, you know, I understand these are these people's lives, and I'm not trying to make light of that, but let's just say that misery loves company, and we were in absolute misery trying to get this fix and flip done, and seeing what the ship was going through and the people were going through, but still trying to keep a positive mentality and enjoy the journey in the process.
We were invested in the success of the Odyssey because it's such a unique idea, and we believe that it's an extremely valuable addition to the cruising lifestyle. And we've met so many wonderful people on board who have different reasons why they are on the ship, but all of them embrace this beautiful idea of travel and wanderlust. There are more creatives on the ship than I expected. Artists, actors, writers, creators, content creators, but there's also entrepreneurs in real estate. Just, I think, a wide open curiosity to explore the world, and they're not afraid of new horizons. And I think that's been one of the more fun aspects of being on the ship. So why the Villa Vie Odyssey? Well, we believe that our God is a good, good father, and he wants us to have good things. And in this new season of our life, I believe that he is wanting us to dream big with him, to not put restrictions on what he has for us, where he wants us to go, and how he wants us to live. And it's really scary to allow the Lord to stretch the boundaries of my comfort zone and to put us out there financially, emotionally, just so much change. And my frugal nature said, let's explore the cheaper option. It would still be kind of what you want. And then he began to explore where the Villa Vie was going. And in your research, you came across the Mexico to Hawaii leg, where they were offering a deeply discounted price.
So there will be future videos where I will talk about all of the options with the Villa Vie rentals and ownerships and whatnot. The simple answer is, through Villa Vie rentals, we were able to get on board at a wonderful rate. We're renting from a private owner, and we were able to get exactly the time frame that we wanted with exactly the ports that we wanted to, and it worked perfectly for literally our entire sort of life structure of us leaving our home, of empty nesting ourselves. And we wanted to see our daughter, who's not going to be in Hawaii forever, and we wanted to see her before she left. So literally, like, every circle aligned for the timing of this cruise. And when we compared that to the other options, it was literally, do we do the Temu version or do we do the bucket list option? And we decided to commit full bore into the bucket list trip. So in the future videos that you're going to see, we're going to guide you through a little bit about how did we pack, how did we prepare, what steps did we take. We're also going to walk you through a bit of the road trip as we got to Colorado. We then flew on to join the ship, and we'll guide you through some of that, some of the restaurants, some of the places that we've been to. And then from there, for us, tomorrow we arrive in Honolulu, and we're going to be seeing all sorts of great sights. So all of that is upcoming. We are both trying to enjoy vacation time and rest and relaxate, but we are also really trying to produce content and show it. I would encourage you to follow us on Facebook, because I post a lot more frequently on Facebook with pictures of where we are, what's the view of the aft deck, or what we're having for food. And I would also encourage you, if you have questions about the ship or about the journey, please post it up. It will help us to know what to get, maybe if we need more footage or this or that. But I hope that you just enjoy us on the journey as we travel around on this crazy Wandering Highlanders life. Welcome to the journey.